Okay, YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Another quick game of interplanetary I Spy going on here. Now we're looking at the Apollo images, which have recently been published on Flickr. And this is great. There's some awesome stuff in here. They really are good quality images. A lot better, in fact, than the ones we get from Mars on the whole, apart from maybe the high-rise images. They are really, really good. And I've been going through these for about a week or two now, a couple of weeks. Excuse my voice, by the way. I do have a bit of a cold, so I do apologise about that. And I'll crack straight on with it because I want to keep this short. I will have a link to the main image or the main images below, as usual. And this is going to kind of following on from a series I did a while back called Alien Megastructures. I did this playlist, and there's a whole bunch of moon videos here. These are my top 6 anyway. It would probably go in here, and that'll be changed to top 7. There's the white, giant white tower. There's lunar domes. There's a leaning tower, which is one I've got up here, which is very similar to what I'm about to show you. This one. This isn't the same crater. This isn't even a crater. It's a kind of collapsed structure. This one, and it's similar to what I'm about to show you now, but this is from a different mission. This is from Apollo 10. I think the image I've got up now is Apollo 17. I might be wrong. I didn't actually save the link to the image that I'm going to show you, so I may be wrong on that. It might be Apollo 15. I'm not sure. But anyway, let's get on with it. Here is the raw image. I think it's not this one. Sorry, it's this one here. Now I always get suspicious when I see an image where there's a very, very light patch in it, like you have here. Now, some of the craters on the moon are very, very bright indeed, and in fact, lunar samples of the lunar dust show that actually the dust is made up of something like 50% glass, pure silica, and is very reflective and has some quite unusual properties. It's very luminous and can reflect stuff quite well. Not as well as water maybe, or a mirror, but at certain angles it's very reflective indeed. And this does explain some of the weird lighting effects we get on the surface of the moon. And this is a very good example. Now this is completely raw, I've done nothing to this. Now what got me about this one was this structure here that's sticking up, and in the raw image you can see there's something here that looks like a collapsed tower or some kind of building or structure that's collapsed or something. And also there seems to be, if you look really carefully, just here, just about make out a dome shape with a bright spot here, and when you go down it's actually reflected here. You go straight down to here, this dome thing or whatever it is seems to be reflected in the ground near the bottom of the picture there. So very strange. And there's also, if you really squint your eyes, and you really do have to squint your eyes, you can see an archway here. Now that isn't a natural structure, and I can see that without doing anything to it. There's also some weird stuff in this background here. If I find any more stuff around here, which I probably will, I'll put it in at the end of the video like I normally do. But I'm going to crack on with this because there's a lot to get through here, and I don't want to take all day. Right. Now, the first thing I did was I clipped it out, and I think this was the first clip I took. Now, this is a raw clip. You can see a dome shape there, an arch shape here, like a pointed arch here, like a Gothic arch sort of shape, and structure here, okay? And all you've got to do is add some contrast. Now I've gone in really heavy with the contrast here, just to really push it out so that you can see it on your mobile devices. And of course the stuff in the background's gone completely because it's much darker. But you can see here that we have a very strange structure sticking up that looks like a big pipe or some kind of mining equipment or something. And it's got like a white pipe coming out the top of it here. So you've got this kind of squiggly shape, which is rather very unusual. But this is rather I mean, it may well be natural, but to me it doesn't look natural. And the fact that it has this white pipe sticking out the top of it makes me think it's not. And there's also what look like pipe structures here next to it. Now I appreciate that isn't very clear, and it's never going to be really clear because this is taken from many miles up. I don't know how many exactly, but if I find out, I'll put it in the description. But it's probably taken from something like 10 miles up, and using a Hasselblad camera, which is the really good quality camera, taken through the cockpit window of the spacecraft, of the actual Apollo craft itself, by one of the astronauts. And on many of the images you can see reflections on the glass and that kind of thing, where they've got lens flares and stuff. So a lot of the images aren't that great, but most of them are pretty good. Some are overexposed and some are underexposed. But this one really caught my eye, and so I thought I'd do another enhancement of it. I took a different clip. This is the same area again, but I tried to include a bit more of the stuff above it this time, and that's raw. And then I went in quite heavy and added a whole bunch of contrast in there. I've darkened some of this down a bit because this was very bright. This crater rim and white material here, it was too bright to look at. So I've darkened that down, and I've lightened the background because this, when you go in with a heavy contrast, anything that's quite dark will just disappear often. And I didn't want to do that with this version. I wanted to see what was going on behind. And these are the shapes that are there. And you can even see these in the raw image. So I'm not adding these shapes. All I've done is lighten them up so you can see them on your mobile device. And there we have it. There's an arch kind of structure here. There's a dome structure here. And this is the bright spot on it here. And there's also a kind of bright spot there. There's almost a wheel type round structure here. Now this, if these are buildings, and that's a big if, but if these are buildings and structures, then they may be many millions of years old and may be heavily damaged and destroyed. And we're looking at a collapsed dome perhaps, or collapsed multiple buildings. But here, I didn't spend quite so long darkening this part, but you can see that there's something coming out here. There's a pipe coming out the top, and there seems to be some little pipes coming off here. And this pipe seems to go all the way along, right off to the right here, and may go for many miles. Now, this I don't know exactly how wide this crater is here, but I would imagine it's about 2 miles across, if not a bit bigger. I don't know exactly, but it's something like that. It could even be 3. I'm not sure, but I would hazard a guess around 2 miles from end to end. So these are very large structures, as a lot of these things on the moon are. They're very large indeed, and because of the very low gravity, which is 1/6 of the Earth's, it would be possible to build very large structures on the moon because of that. The physics are completely different, and the moon may at one time in the very distant past have had an atmosphere, and may have even had people living on it, as some people claim. And it may also have been actually not where it is now at all. It may have been a planet in our solar system which got hit and exploded, and the moon is the remains of the missing planet, Planet X, which when it exploded, largely exploded, parts of it flew all over the place and created the asteroid belt, and may have even tilted Saturn onto its side, and caused a massive cataclysm on Earth and on Mars as well. So that may be the case. The moon may well have been an actual planet with an atmosphere, and we're just seeing the remnants and core that's left over from that. Okay, so there we go. Now there was 1 or 2 other things. There was some in this image up here. Okay, let's show you the raw image first. This is generally how they look. Now these are actual real photographs that have been printed and stored together, and then at some stage in 1999, I think, they were scanned on a flatbed scanner and digitized and turned into digital images. So you can see a black border here where they've been put on the scanner, and they're the equivalent roughly of a 16 megapixel photograph. So they're very good. They're pretty good, high quality images. They're not the best I've ever seen, but they are very, very good indeed, considering they were taken so long ago, in the late 60s and early 70s. They are very good. But this was a great image, this one, and you don't see a great deal of detail here until you darken it. But if you look at the back here, you've got some weird structures up here, and somewhere up here, I think it's this one, there is what looks like a weird dome on the horizon. And this is the darkened version. Now when you darken a lot of these things, if you go in really heavy with the darkness and contrast, they go green, which is also really interesting. And I've actually toned the green down a bit on this because it was too green. But this was cool. I mean, this pair of craters here I thought looked funny because it looks like a pair of glasses there. It's obviously not a pair of glasses. It just has that shape. And there was something up here, up on the horizon, sticking up, which looks to me like another dome, and it's on this kind of mountainous bit of terrain at the back here, and it's sticking right up, and it's quite luminescent. That is not a crater. If it was a crater, we'd only see the edge of it. We wouldn't see something sticking up out of it. That is a very large dome. That may be 10 miles across. It could be something like 10 miles across. I don't know exactly. Between 5 and 10 miles from one side to the other. I'll show you the clips I've taken. Now, I didn't do a great deal with this because it is a long way off, and it's fairly vague and a bit blurry because it's right at the back of the image. But there's a basic enhancement, and all I've done with that is added loads of contrast, and you can see that's sticking up. And I'll go in with the heavier one. You can definitely see something there. I'll do some more, a bit more enhancement work on that for you and put it in at the end with the other stuff for you to see. I'll show you that crater tube structure again, and let's have a close look at that. This was crazy, absolutely insane. And you can see all this in the raw image. All I've done is push it out for you. So it is there. There's no denying it's actually there. And these were real photographs. They're not digital images initially. They have been digitized later on, like I said, but they were real photographs and actually printed out. So that is actually there. You just don't see it very well in the raw image, which I'll go back to now. Let's go back to the raw clip of that. But it's there. You can see it. Once you've seen it, you can see it again a lot easier. There's the dome, and there's the archway there. You can see that arch quite clearly if you stare at it and let your eyes adjust to the light level. It's definitely there. And this pipe is definitely there. You can see that pipe sticking up there, and this chimney-like structure. So there we go, folks. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.